guys. Welcome to a chakra talk. This is a special chakra talk because we're talking about Mercury retrograde.
That's what we're talking about.
What we're talking about, how Mercury retrograde has got us, our cat caught our tongue, how some technologies for everybody's kind of acting funny, a lot of delays I've been noticing. So we're just going to get into a couple key things. It's going to be quick. We just want to give you an idea of like what's into this retrograde. What is everything that's going on? What does it mean for us? How can we kind of transmute some of the what we would perceive negative impacts? How can we take that energy and transmute it into helping it serve for us? That's what it means when you transmute that energy to have it be beneficial for you, even through the energy being a good learning lesson, planting a seed, if you will. And then we're gonna just get a message from spirit because I'm just Lauren. I don't know about you. I'm gonna take myself out of this. Everybody I see right now is going through it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. How's it on your end? Just observing everybody going through it.
It's a lot, it's a lot. I'm trying to remember boundaries, just with working with people and energetic boundaries because I have my own stuff happening. So I'm trying to, keeping the energy clear after sessions and using a lot of sound, using a lot of essential oils, using all the tools, because there's just a lot happening right now. And that doesn't mean bad. It's just energetically, there's a lot going on, especially post full moon last weekend. So we're in it.
We're in it. So
what's that? You cut out.
yes, because I realized that my microphone wasn't on.
Oh, shit.
Mercury retrograde. I kid you not. I was like,
You can't make this.
Like the volume was really low as I'm looking onto the I was like, I wonder why. And I was like, oh, because the microphone's not on. And then when I turned it on, it muted. Okay, see, perfect example of. So Lauren, let's get into it. A couple things too. What I loved about I'm going to give you credit. The only reason I am surviving right now, this retrograde, is because when you did the amazing what's 30 days ahead for me for the month of September astrological read for me, you gave me the signs, what days things were going to have power up, some days to kind of do some self-care. Even when you were like, hey, make sure when you're on a conference call, make sure you've completely ended it, you've muted it. So, you're not saying things when you think you're off. And that really helped me. Guys, if you want to do a 30-day projection reading with Lauren, please go do it because it really helps you understand what's going on and what could go on. She gives you very targeted and specific dates to kind of things to be on the lookout for.
Thank you.
What is in this retrograde right now? We've got 6 planets, right? What does it mean? What is in this retrograde right now?
So much happening right now. So Saturn is retrograde, Pluto is retrograde, Neptune is retrograde, Chiron is retrograde, Jupiter is retrograde, Uranus is retrograde, and Mercury is retrograde. So it's not just Mercury. And when all of these planets are retrograde, it's time to reflect. It's time to consider and slow down, really. Mercury seems to affect us more personally because it's a personal planet. So the outer planets have a different effect than the personal planets. And we are also in a shadow period, Mars retrograde, that's coming up at the end of October.
So, okay.
It's so much.
Okay. Saturn, Pluto, Neptune, Chiron. Oh, Neptune twice. Jupiter and Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
What do these?
And Uranus.
And that's the one I left out. Uranus, and then you said Mars in October.
Mm-hmm. Mars will be retrograde from October 30th through January 13th.
Okay. Let's focus on the 6 now. So, Uranus, Mercury, Jupiter, Chiron, Neptune, Pluto, and Saturn.
Pretty much everything.
Pretty much everything. So if everything's in retrograde, what is this combined retrograde? What does it mean? How is it showing itself to us? And what do we need to take into account?
Well, it's showing us different situations that have happened in the past that are resurfacing for a lot of people. I see that coming up as a theme for lots of people. Um, the Mercury portion is going to be related to our head and communication, and it's happening in the sign of Libra. This has a lot to do with relationships. So there could be a lot of themes popping up around relationships, whether that's intimate one-on-one relationships, friendships, work relationships. This stuff is surfacing as communication with another person. Whereas sometimes with a Mercury retrograde, like the last one in Gemini, I say, look at how you're talking to yourself. This one, I say, look at how you're speaking to other people and how that's a reflection of how you view the world. But when all of these planets are retrograde simultaneously, the energy is not a forward moving energy. It's a little bit of a standstill, a little bit of a pause, a reflect. And this doesn't mean don't start anything new. It just means really take your time and pause and be very cognizant of your next move. It's not a good time to be impulsive.
And I'm noticing, with the exception of like when I buy something, like I call myself a relatively patient person. I'm almost sometimes too patient. This has not tested my patience. I keep having to remind myself patience.
Yes.
It's like everything has like, I can see where it has just slowed the F down, and it's really requiring me to tap into that patience that I feel that I have. Is that one of the things that's kind of, it's going to pull us and I want to say test us, but kind of reinforce for us?
The way that you're speaking is really calling the Saturn retrograde into my mind. Like Saturn is the teacher, Saturn is lessons. And I feel like that's for you probably related to Saturn moving backwards. What was the second part of your question?
Hell if I know. I forgot
that just was a very Saturn retrograde comment about patience.
Patience. It was just, that's what I was asking. Is that something that is common right now in this retrograde? One of these themes is just that patience, because you're saying, everything's kind of slowing down, be reflective.
Absolutely. Patience is the essence of all of these retrogrades at the same time, is like knowing that this is not, sometimes we want to just go, go, go. And that's how our society functions. That's how we're taught to be. It's how we're meant to work, in this capitalist society that we work in. Like, retrograde doesn't align with America, but like this is what's happening. And so we have to respect and honor and reevaluate our relationship with our work structures. So I think that's a theme that could be coming up for a lot of people right now is how do I work and how does this function for me? And how do I function in society as in this capitalistic world that we live in? That could definitely be a big theme coming up for people right now.
What you just described is the thing that my colleagues are going through. Is
interesting.
How do I function in this work society? And what does that say about me, where I am right now, and where I want to show, how I want to show up? Not necessarily even at work, but in the world.
Yeah. And then, people want to just blow past the fact that we're just post-COVID and we're all suffering PTSD, call it what it is. It's all real. People are really struggling with their place in the world and how they get back into functioning in a society that's shifting, to say the least.
Big shifts. But then shifts are going on. So we're talking about patience, not just with me personally with the Saturn retrograde, but just the retrograde we have going on right now. Actually, hold on, before we go into this one, Pluto, Neptune, Chiron, Jupiter, Uranus, how do those show up? Not necessarily, it doesn't, even if you don't want to go into it individually, what are some of those themes that are playing with the rest of them playing in?
Yeah, well, Neptune is the planet of spirituality. Neptune can bring fogginess and fuzziness. So Neptune retrograde can add a layer to that. The outer planets stay retrograde for a really long time. So I try not to get too focused on how they affect us personally. Those are much more on a collective level. Like they're happening to the entire world, or the entire planet, I should say, simultaneously. And so it's affecting everyone on a different level, but it's more of a collective energy. Uranus is the great awakener. So when it's retrograde, sometimes it's more of these internal awakenings, and that can show up as like lightning bolt shifts and changes, because Uranus is unexpected and erratic. But there's different ways that this is playing out collectively than individually. And to know where it's happening individually, you really have to look to someone's birth chart.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which is, why I was like, hey, what's going on my next 30 days?
and I was, for you, like where this stuff is hitting is really intense.
Oh, yeah. Lots of, but in my feels, which
it's on your moon.
We don't like to be in our feels. It's been interesting. So then how do we transmute this energy? For me, it's been in my feels and having to, okay, I don't have a choice. I'm going to have to deal with the feels. How do I transmute this negative energy to make it work for my highest good? With all of these planets going in retrograde, everything that is happening for us, because I try not to say things happen to us, situations happen to us. What we take from it happens for us.
Yes.
How can we transmute some of this energy to kind of help us deal? What I'm trying to get to is, how do we deal? How can we handle next? Because it doesn't end until the 30th, right, of September?
So it ends October 2nd is the end of Mercury retrograde. And then there's a little shadow period at the end.
Is that the shadow period? That better be the shadow period.
No, the shadow period isn't until the 17th of October. Here's what I want to say. There's a couple good things happening. I'm gonna pull it the other way. Okay. So on September 23rd is the inferior conjunction. This is in the retrograde cycle where Mercury comes back together with the sun. This is happening at 29 degrees of Virgo. And there could be some insights that come through about what this process is uncovering. So pay attention. What I love is that it's happening right at the equinox. Like the equinox is the 22nd. This is happening the 23rd. And then we have a new moon on the 24th, 25th. So it's kind of like this little period where there could be some clarity, there could be some shifting. And the purpose of these Mercury retrogrades are to give us an opportunity to recognize, like, what are these patterns and what is the universe trying to teach us? Yeah. There are certain lessons that we have to continue to learn again and again. Yeah. And that's just part of this human experience that we're going through. But I feel like every time we have an opportunity uncover another layer, it helps us process and shift and gives us the opportunity to kind of change how we interact with that story. So I feel like there will be some of that coming with that inferior conjunction. So that's new moons are always beautiful times for planting seeds and considering. I feel like this one is going to be more internal than external, like not maybe putting your seeds out there yet, but just letting them brew under the surface for the future. And that's again on the 24th, 25th is that new moon. Okay. So there are some positives coming. And I think it's important to recognize that these stories that we tell ourselves shift the way we interact with the lessons that we're learning. So finding tools right now to help you navigate this time. I think I said to you before we started recording that I have been using all the essential oils. Like I've been putting together new blends that just feel grounding. Yeah. I've been listening to podcasts that inspire me, that make me, think about the lessons I'm learning and how to shift my own consciousness around that. Meditation, like all the practices that help us be more in our bodies so we can allow the feelings to move through and not get stuck in our heads, which can very much be a Mercury retrograde in an air sign. You can get really stuck in your head, and I have fallen victim to that the last week. I am not going to lie. I have been in my head a lot, and I just have to remind myself, like, okay, it's those tools that you have. So the tools are key.
Welcome to the world of air signs. We're always in our head.
You also have a Virgo moon, which is like another layer to like wanting to process your emotions head. It's a very Virgo moon.
It drives my therapist nuts. She's like, can you give me an answer that's not superficial? And I'm like, oh.
I thank you for saying that, because therapy right now is really a good idea. And I went to a concert the other night with a dear friend of mine who's a therapist, and we were talking the whole drive there for an hour, and I was like, I think I need to maybe call a real therapist. She's a real amazing therapist, but I'm not paying her. So.
Right, like not a friend.
She's a bestie. Like I'm not gonna try to use her for that. I send everyone to her though. She's amazing, but I'm like, she's my friend, so we can't cross those boundaries. Yeah. But I was like, man, Mercury retrograde is a time for therapy, whether it's talk therapy or some other version of therapy that works for you. Highly recommend that right now. That's a tool.
That's so true. The past, I want to say 3 weeks of clients that I've had, and I didn't even think about this until you just said this. I have recommended some form of active meditation as a form of therapy.
Yes.
Some type of doing. I was like, this is going to be, it was just a theme for a lot of them. It was like, whatever's going on with you, it's causing you to have a hard time articulating how it feels, articulating, even recognizing it. And so sometimes you have to not think about it. So it can come to the surface. You're like, well, how do I get it to come to surface? And I was just like, some type of active meditation. It's about doing something for a prescribed amount of time.
Yes.
So you're not thinking, or you're thinking about just that activity. So it allows the thoughts, the subconscious, to come to the surface. If you're having a hard time processing and figuring out, how do I feel about, what does this make me think about? Good point. What are some other good talk therapy? Journaling.
A good one.
Art therapy.
Yes. Dance, like movement. Walking meditation is a good one.
Music therapy, whether it's you're playing or just listening.
Yes. Sound therapy is always my favorite.
Always my favorite. I mean, two bowl geeks, of course.
Like two sound healers, obviously use sound. It works.
But that's good. That's going to help transmute the energy. Did you, I know you said you had pulled cards.
Yeah.
So what are your cards telling you?
So I pulled cards, and this was just like an overall Mercury retrograde theme in my mind. First card that I pulled is reversed 7 of Swords, which swords are air, so that made a lot of sense. This is about like truths coming to the surface. Yes. Very Mercury retrograde, confessions of things that might be kind of that you've been hiding, things being revealed, things that maybe you've been pushing down or saying back up.
Especially truths being revealed. I had that this morning. So, and I was grateful for it. Instead of being pissed off about it, I was grateful for it, because I said, you know what? I'm glad this
better to know now. Yeah, better to know now.
And that my instinct was correct. To listen to myself. My gut was right. I just needed to see how it played out. So, yes, that is so true. Very true. What's the other cards you have?
So I also got the 6 of Cups, which I love. This has a lot to do with childhood, like memories. And so that stuff could be popping up too, which I said that to you before, like, past patternings that we've created to help us get to where we are. But sometimes those patterns are ready to like shift and release. But this is a beautiful card. It's pleasure and healing is I very much associate this with healing. So it's like things that are coming to the surface are ready for healing.
Yeah.
And then the third card that I pulled is reversed, the Hermit. So when I see the reversed Hermit, I think about internal alignment, reconnecting back to your own inner compass. It is also about isolation. It can end up, moving towards loneliness. But I like to consider that this is a way of us processing internally so that we can then go back out into society in a more connected, authentic way. So I feel like this process is a lot about things coming up, memories, so that we can heal them, so that we can integrate, and then use that to, step up into a new level.
I was thinking, like, how do you show up on October 17th when the shadow ends?
Yeah.
When we've gone through, we've transmuted all this energy. How do you want to show up? Do you show up battered and bruised because we didn't? No, I'm serious. Because we didn't quite, go through this journey properly. Do we show up battered and bruised, or do we show up, because this is the first card I got, or do we show up in a place of joy? This is the last card I got, where we were able to take this energy, transmute it, take the learning lessons, and move forward. So that's kind of right on with what you said. I know you're frozen, so I'm going to keep talking to see. Oh, there you go. I was like, Mercury retrograde.
Literally.
Oh, I love that. When you said that Hermit, I was like, yeah, how do we take this energy? What did we learn? Instead of going inward and being emo, how do we take it to push it out? And the journey, how do we start it? Do we end it grumpy, or do we end it in a place of joy? Too, I was going to say, because what message from Spirit is how I wanted to end. And I think the combined of what you said and what I got is so spot on. We also need to trust during this time. Things that are happening for us, not to us. Trust this process. This is going to be interesting, is how I'm going to phrase it. And what do we get out of it? So I got more, but I think I love just tying this together, going through this journey. How do we go through it? How do we show up on October 17th? For me, I want to show up like this, joyful. I've taken the lessons. I've gotten everything that I needed. I did the shadow work. I did the morning work, shadow work, night work, day work, afternoon work, mid-morning work. And I came out of this. And a place of joy and a place of peace is what I hope we can all get through this, and how Spirit wants to guide us. Lauren, I know you've got a lot of activities coming up for those in the DFW. I'm going to say DMV. Should not move from one D area to another D area. What's going on for you in the DFW? Because I know if I was there, I would sign up for your sound healing in person. So what's going on for you and how people can find you?
So my next sound healing session is on September 24th. It's actually sold out.
Because I know
but I have a waiting list.
Spot left last night.
I have a waiting list now because sometimes people's plans change, but I'm trying to keep it a little more intimate, so I limited it to 25.
Okay.
The next one, I don't have it on the calendar yet, but I think it's going to be that 3rd or 4th week of October. Let me look at the dates. It's probably going to be the 22nd. But it's not confirmed yet. So check my Instagram out. That's where I post all of that. And it's at Lauren.Margolies.
I'm going to, there's going to be a link. I'm going to put in the link to her Instagram below. And then also to book a session with Lauren. Her Calendly is in the description as well. I love the 30-day sessions. It's incredibly affordable. She does a recording for you, so you can go back and watch as many times as you need. The dates, the what to expect was just so spot on, because instead of having your whole astrological chart to where you're like, what the hell does this mean? You get time-focused information for the next 30 days so you know how to proceed, which is great if you have something big coming up, which I know I had some big stuff coming up. Helped tremendously. So, what's the name of that session? I know it's on your Calendly, but did you come up with it yet?
I think it's, I don't know, honestly. I think it's like I don't remember what I called it, but it's at the top of the Calendly, and it's a new offering, and I've been getting really positive feedback from people. It's been really hitting, and it's exactly what you said. It gives you this bite-sized pieces of what to focus on right now, and mostly about the personal planets and where the personal planets are transiting in your chart. So it's very effective.
Super. Down to the even, you had given me the heads up about the 8th and the 9th.
Yeah.
Things like that just really gave me the 10th on the personal day. Things I got to go back. So I think you said there's like 2 more coming up, and I got to see if that lines up with the stuff that we talked about before.
I'm curious.
So very helpful. Lauren, thank you so much for
My pleasure.
this today, and you're an amazing teacher. So
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, guys. Check out Lauren. We will see you on another Chakra Talk in the future. You guys, take a deep breath. Take care of yourselves first right now.
Yes. Breathe.
We can take care of our friends and family and Mama Earth on October 17th. Maybe earliest October 2nd, but right now, take care of yourselves, all right?